name is Renee and I'm with Crossroads Calligraphy, and today I'm making a video about how to practice basic strokes. Anytime in calligraphy, what we're trying to do is make quality lines, and that comes with practice. So it doesn't really matter what script you're working with, what you have in your hand. One of the main things we're constantly working with is the quality of our lines. So that's what this video is about today, is about how to practice and improve the quality of your lines. To follow along, you'll need a sharp wooden pencil, a paper with lines on it. I'm using graph paper today, but you could use notebook paper, or you could even just draw some squares and use those. I also have just a piece of plain, well, it's not really plain, it's a piece of copy paper that I printed too much of a recipe on, and so I'm just using the back of that. And so that's optional, as is a piece of layout bond. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera and we'll get started. Okay, so one thing that I forgot to mention during my list of things you'll need for this video is paper clips. That's if you're using a layout bond paper. So we have our sharp pencil, paper clips, and graph paper. Again, you could also use notebook paper for this if you'd like. And what I want to kind of look at first is actual width of our graph paper. Let's see, I hope that zoomed in enough. Oh yeah, here we go. So here you can see there's 3 different places that I can treat as my guideline. I could start, so I'm looking at this area right here, this part of the line. So I could treat the very top of it where the blue meets the white part. I could treat that as the very top of where to start my line. Or I could treat the center of the blue line as the top and start my line there. Or I could treat the bottom of the blue line as my starting point. It doesn't really matter where you choose on the line to treat as the beginning, but just pick one. Pick the one that works best for you and try to stay consistent with it. And you can always change it, later on. But while it seems like a very subtle difference, if you're making letters with treating different parts of the guideline as the top, then overall your piece is going to look inconsistent. Your eyes and your hand and your muscles want to have some place that they are treating as the regular theme for the line. Also, you want to work with a sharp pencil. Mine's a wooden pencil that can be sharpened. This is a 2H, and I actually picked an ugly pencil on purpose, just because it doesn't have to be a black wing or a brand new drafting pencil. It can be just a pencil with a hard lead. And the reason that we want a hard lead is because it maintains the thickness of the line very nicely, and we don't want to be depositing a whole lot of graphite onto the page. So let me zoom out a little bit here. And as I said, you can work directly on graph paper, or if your lines are in a limited supply, then you can put a piece of layout bond or tracing paper or marker paper over the top of your guidelines. and then you would use your paper clips to clip those together. Now that's just if you're working on a lightly colored table. See, in this way you can still write on the page, but you can see the lines through it. But I have a dark table. So if I put this setup on the dark table, then the darkness of the table is going to interfere with the visibility of my lines. So that's what the piece of stray copy paper is for. And so again, the copy paper would go on the bottom. Oh my gosh. And then your graph paper. And then your layout bond. And that will help to improve the visibility of your guidelines, whatever it is that you're working with. Okay, but for the sake of this video, I am just going to work directly on the graph paper. Okay. Now, there's 3 different ways to practice the different strokes. So what you're going to do is pick 2 guidelines to work in between. It doesn't matter. I'll work here. Okay, make sure you can see this. Okay, that's better. So, vertical lines. From wherever you chose to start with, from the top line, you're going to start at the top and just make a line all the way to the bottom, the baseline. And again, here with this line, you want to choose where on the line is the bottom to you, and just stick with it. And again, like, you can change this over the course of your practice, however, whatever if you find something works better for you, then of course adjust it. But you notice how lightly I made that line. Okay, so we're gonna make 2 more. Okay, so for the sake of demo, I've chosen for the center of each of these lines to be my starting and stopping point. And now I'm going to put my pencil down and I pick up a different colored pen or pencil. Okay. And I'm going to take notes on the lines. And it's not like words in this case. I'm just going to say, okay, I found a little wiggle here. This one has a little wiggle here. So what we're looking for is the straightness of the stroke. We're looking for an even deposit of graphite onto the page. And we're looking to make sure that I'm starting and stopping in consistent places. So with those 3 things, my lines, I've marked where they're not very straight. And now also you can see how hard I pushed on the pencil here by comparison with the rest of the line, which would make a big difference if I were using a pointed pen, if I were using a pointed calligraphy nib. If I'm putting a lot of pressure at the beginning, then probably ink is going to pool everywhere and then my line is going to get thinner. So I want to be able to have the control. How hard am I pressing on my tool? Okay, so it's important every maybe 5 lines or so, like 5 individual lines that you make, that you put your pencil down and take notes. Okay, so that's vertical lines. With horizontal lines, we're looking for similar things. Okay. So where are you starting? Are you starting in the middle of the line, to the right of it, or to the left of it? Okay. pencil down, correct it. Little wiggle here. This one's not quite straight. Neither is this one, really goes kind of down. Okay, and so I take those things into account for my next one. The lines were pretty light, they got a little heavy toward the end. So then I try again. Okay. It might not look like a lot, but when you're working with a calligraphic hand, there are kind of already a lot of moving pieces, and you can further your results with an actual calligraphy hand by working with the shapes here. So then the last one is a round shape. Okay. Oh look, I didn't even take notes. I talked. So my goal for this is to make a circle that hits all 4 edges of this square. Check. I'll make another one. Okay. So now I can take a couple notes. So I overlapped the circle here. You might be able to see this real heavy spot. Okay. And then the spaces around the edges are pretty inconsistent. And it almost looks like the circle is flat here. That may just be the graph paper. With this one, there's a flat part right here. There's a flat part right here. There's like a wiggle. This went over the line here. And then this one just stays too close to the corner. So then I take those things into account as I try again. Oh boy. Okay. So those are what to practice with basic strokes. Now, a full page of practice is going to look like a whole row of this exercise, and then a whole row of this exercise, and then a whole row of this exercise. Don't just make a whole row and then another whole row without taking notes. When you do that, you're forming bad habits. You're not able to see what to improve on, and so you can't make those adjustments along the way. You just continue on with those efforts. Flip the camera again here. I meant to mention also that my camera was parallel to the writing desk, and it was parallel to the edge of the writing desk. So I'm writing with my paper directly in front of me here. Just a couple other notes. I wanted to remind you to take breaks every 30 minutes or so. And maybe that means that you set a timer, or you're listening to music and it's maybe 10 songs. I personally couldn't really keep track that way, but but just so that you don't get too stuck in what you're doing. It's important to stand up, make sure you're drinking water, walk around a little bit, and get a little bit of a change of scenery as you work. Like, the body needs the blood flow, the body needs the oxygen. So I think that's about it for this video, and in the next one I'll be going over breathing as you're writing, but I wanted you to get kind of into what it feels like for you to do this practice, and then we can start to help with other things. So good luck, and make sure that you send me any questions or comments that you have about practicing these basic strokes.